Hi, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Better Than Sex. I am Julia.
I am Kitty Cat DeMille, and we have a special guest this week. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do in the sexy world, we'd love to hear.
Hey, I'm the Abby Cadabra, and I'm a burlesque performer in Houston, Texas. So I've been doing burlesque for 8 years, and I love every minute of it.
Nice. And you're strip and sing, right? You're a singer.
I sing, I dance, and I host. So I've recently been going back and forth and putting hosting and singing together more. But I started out as a chorus girl and then moved to being a solo performer and then became one of the headliners for the show in Houston that I did for 8 years.
Awesome. And how did you get into your sexy wheelhouse of burlesque?
It's crazy because I've always wanted to be a performer. Like when people ask me what I wanted to be when I was a kid, I was like, Jessica Rabbit or Madonna when she was in Dick Tracy. So that's so it's like that. Clearly that's not what I started doing as a 4-year-old child, but it was just like the fantasy and the fun and the sexiness and just being over the top vaudeville singer, dancer that I always wanted to do. And in Houston, we didn't have the same dance opportunities that you would in Los Angeles or New York. So I was a professional cheerleader for 4 years. So I danced in all those super tiny cheerleading uniforms for pro sports teams in Houston. So when Prohibition opened and they said they wanted to start a burlesque show, I was asked to audition. And I was in the process of moving to Los Angeles. So I was like, oh, that'll be a fun summer job. And it ended up being my career because I was afforded the opportunity to travel all over the world and do and live the showgirl life and express my sexiness. I'm sorry, my cat wants to join so badly.
That's fine.
Just
hi. What's her name?
This is Starlet. She's my big lady. And she's just like, what happened? Why did you move me?
She's a calico, so she's a girl.
Oh, she is. And she is a lady. Let me tell you, she's a very fussy, bossy lady. I love her.
So why don't you, Prohibition, I'm assuming it's like a speakeasy supper club in Houston?
Yes, it is. It was around for 8 years. And due to COVID, they are not going to be reopening. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's the times we're living in right now. So, but yes, it was 1920s themed, very reminiscent of like those flapper Gatsby parties that everyone was throwing, just like every week. And I was like, I want to dress like a flapper or Chicago themed. And we had a burlesque show and a vaudeville show. And it was very much like it just transported you back to an old time, like this old world that doesn't really exist anymore today. So the theater was very, very grand and gorgeous, and it was just a sexy place. It was a date place. It was a place that you would take your girlfriends out to or your boyfriend out to, and like we had bachelor parties and we had bachelorette parties. Like it was just, we ran the gamut of celebration there because it was just a fun, flirtatious night out on the town. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it's not going to be reopening, but I'm still a full-time burlesque performer. We've just changed over to teaching burlesque classes online and doing online shows and streaming. So it's just a little bit of a pivot, but it's not over. I'm not done working.
And how often do you do the online burlesque shows now? Are you doing them weekly? Or are you doing them monthly? Or...
Well, currently I'm, because I'm in the transition of moving to a bigger space, I'm actually going to start doing it more like weekly.
Okay.
Mostly reason I'm moving to a bigger space is because I needed a stage area to be able to do the shows that I wanted to put on, and I wanted to be able to wear my big costumes. When you're in a tiny apartment, you're not really able to do that. So Right now, I'm teaching a burlesque class once a week on Thursdays with Dauntless Dance. So if you want to do that, it is very, very easy to do through Zoom. And you can learn some super sexy burlesque moves. But then a little later in August, get ready for some full-on burlesque shows from my living room.
You and everyone else that we talk to primarily. So I love seeing how everybody's pivoting.
It's hard. I ended up getting COVID, and let me tell you, not fun. Not fun. And I did everything I was supposed to. I wore a mask, social distanced, and if you go to a grocery store, you could potentially get it. So just everyone, be careful and protect yourselves and take your vitamins and exercise and take care of yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. As we get longer into this whole COVID fiasco.
Well, yeah, your immunity is kind of your best line of defense in some ways. You know what I mean? A healthy body is going to do a lot to limit the damage COVID can cause.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Now, in terms of burlesque, everybody has like their thing. It's like they're in the things that they love about it. You know, some people are better at costumes. Like, what is the thing that you gravitate to in the world of burlesque?
I love improv and audience work. I like going out into the audience and reading like their just our back and forth with one another. And I don't like to say pick on them, but I like to make them part of the show. I loved improv. I went to school for theater, and so improv was like a huge part of my studies. And to incorporate that with burlesque and having the audience participation aspect of it and always having to be on your toes, it's what keeps live theater so like amazing and fresh, because you know you can do the same show over and over and over, but it's never really the same show when it's like when you have a little improv part. And you always have to be on your toes. You always have to be ready, because you never know how an audience member is going to react. I've had amazing experiences. I've had really funny experiences. I've had really bad experiences. And I get off stage, I'm like, ooh, I'm not going to do that again. But it's so fun and fresh. I love audience. I just love the energy. And that's something I kind of miss, having to be socially distanced. But I like things like this where we can just interact and have fun and exchange energy.
Yeah. I really, there is something to be said about, like, you know, both Julia and I come from an improv background in LA, and like there's something with the play of the energy that you get in burlesque, the improvisation, that's just so much fun.
And then you're sexy on top of it, and you're half naked. So it's just like, oh.
Yes. Right. And you get to wear 6-inch heels. So it's like, your legs look amazing, you know, more so than in flip-flops. So.
True.
Yes. Now you were part of Viva Las Vegas a couple times. Once?
Yes.
Twice?
Twice.
And what was that experience like? And can you explain what Viva Las Vegas is to somebody who might not know it to begin with?
It is the biggest rockabilly music burlesque festival all mixed into one. It's a car show. It's everything old school put into one at the Orleans Hotel in Vegas. And it's wild. There's live music happening all the time. There's burlesque bingo happening. There's like the top pinups in the world competing to be the Viva Las Vegas pinup model. And it's crazy. The best of the best in that world are all gathered together. And the energy is just so high, and so everyone's so happy, and just really, it's a beautiful collaboration of all kinds of different kinds of art. So I really enjoyed it because it opened my eyes to a lot of different bands or different burlesque performers that I didn't ever really get to see prior to that. She's back.
I see her in the background.
She was like, you are not going to steal the spotlight. So it's a huge event, thousands of people, and it's just amazing energy. The actual burlesque show, the competition, the talent is insane. It's just, I don't even know how to explain. Like, I'm fans of the girls that I'm like participating with, and I'm just like, I love you and I love this and this and this about you. Good luck. I'm so excited for you. So it's just like sharing a dressing room with people that you're just like, oh my God, I like stalk you on Instagram. Do you want to take a selfie? So it's like, it's just really, really, really cool to have so many different kinds of people all in the mix together in one place, all celebrating the same thing.
And then you also do the one in New Orleans. What is it? The Burlesque?
I did it one time. Okay. I did it one time. I did it back in 2013 or 14, somewhere around there. That has changed dynamically, and I don't know if it's a festival that I'm going to go back to, but when I did it, I had a really good time, and I met some heavy hitters in the burlesque industry, and I was really, really grateful to have been part of such a big, beautiful menagerie of performers.
Now, like the Houston scene, were you guys like one of the only troops, or are there multiple troops in the Houston burlesque scene?
Yes, there are multiple troops. Dim Dam Dames, which is Tifa Tiddlywinks, she runs them. And then Kiki Maroon does the Burley Q Lounge. And they have like really, really awesome, beautiful burlesque shows. We were the only show that had a weekly show. So we were performing like 10 times a week. I would have a show Wednesday, Thursday, 3 Friday, 3 Saturday, and 2 Sunday. When we were in the full rotation. So we were more of like a Vegas show, and I had a residency. Whereas what they do is they put on monthly shows or bi-monthly shows, and they have out-of-towners come in. I've actually been part of some of the Dim Dam Dame shows. I've been part of Tifa shows. My husband has been part of Kiki shows, Antifa shows. I did Kiki's first online show when all of this happened. So our community is close. We just have very, very different kinds of burlesque going on. Mm-hmm. But now that we're all, and since Prohibition is no longer happening, we're all kind of in the same boat, and we're all supporting one another, and we're still trying to keep shows going, socially distanced, of course, and just keeping everyone in mind when it comes to doing online shows and in the future shows that are for like big audiences.
Now, I have a question. So you obviously did the festival circuit. That's something I didn't do. I just decided to start a national tour, and we did it. We're still doing it 5 years later. So I'm always so impressed with the artistry you guys do. What do you think was your like ticket into the festivals? Because so many girls work so hard to kind of get to that level, and you seem to not only get to that level, but get to the top festivals fairly quickly.
Oh, goodness. I did a lot of work and research, and before I even attempted to get into a festival, because I didn't have my costume game. I didn't have my choreography game. Like I was a professional dancer in some sense. Like I went to school in college and did dancing. And then I also did professional cheerleading, which isn't like high school cheerleading. Professional cheerleading is like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. It's more of like dancing, kick lines, like dance, like you get it. Dancing. So but burlesque is so different, and the movie Burlesque is not a good depiction of what burlesque is either. And if I'm being completely honest and ridiculously basic, I didn't have the word burlesque in my repertoire until I heard about the Pussycat Dolls. And I saw them on, I believe it was Rosie O'Donnell. It was before they had the singing group. It was like they were dancing. And I was like, what is this? What is Carmen Electra doing? What is Christina Aguilera doing with these girls? Like, what are they? And I was like, oh, it's a sexy dance team. So that was my first introduction to burlesque. And then it turned into, oh, who's Dita Von Teese? Like, who are, like, I came from a small town in Texas. That is not something that anyone is just going to like educate you on. And internet wasn't a thing. I'm showing my age. Internet really wasn't a thing when I was in the beginning of college. So I had a lot to learn. And once I started looking into those old movies and like Mae West and like reading more of like what Eartha Kitt had done and just like learning, I was like, why have I not been doing this my whole life? So as far as the festivals went, I went like from all the way over here, like basic little country girl, to please give me all the knowledge and I want to learn everything about this so that I can be over here, because this is insane and beautiful to me and I want to be the best at it. How can I do that? How do I get the tools? And I studied and I studied and I studied, and I did not submit until my video looked like something that I would watch in one of those old school Hollywood films. So that's what I did. And it the first time I submitted to was the New Orleans Burlesque Festival, and I got in, and I was floored. I was floored that I got in, and I learned so much. But I went to every single show when I was there, because they have so many different ones at the festivals. I went to every single show. I met as many people as I possibly could. And then I was like, how can I do this again? What other festivals are out there? Let me get on the Google. Let me Google everything and every festival that I could potentially get involved with. And then let me get involved with the people who are putting these festivals on and just learn from them. So just being like a super go-getter and learning and watching and just trying to find materials that I didn't have prior is what I did to really get into it.
I feel like,
and what's go ahead.
No, I was just gonna add on that. I feel like there's so much of a learning curve with burlesque, where it's like whatever your in is, you know that. So if you're a costumer, you usually get on because you like to design costumes and you want them on stage. Whereas like if your background's a dancer, your in is dancing, and then you have to learn about costuming, because a really good burlesque act has all of the elements combined.
Oh yeah. I'm so blessed that I have friends who are costumers, because I went to school for theater. You know, you have to also learn in the costume crew. I made friends with those people, but let me tell you what, I can't sew for shit. I am a sad seamstress. They asked if I would just fold the costumes instead of like sew them when I was in college. Just like go over there and like fold them and label them. I was like, I understand. I'll go do that. But I have friends who are seamstresses and can bedazzle anything and everything. And I'm just like, please help me. Just help me. And then take my money, because I know what I want. And I'm creative in that sense, but I cannot put it together. I'm trying.
What is something that you wish you knew when you were starting this out that you know now? Like the biggest business tip you'd give somebody kind of starting out in their baby burlesque career?
Don't buy don't buy cheap underwear. It's really silly. But you're thinking, oh, this thong is only $6 and I'm going to put rhinestones all over it. And then you're going to do high kicks and jump splits in that very tiny, inexpensive thong, and it's going to break. So invest in yourself. Invest in good product. I know that's hard, especially when you're just scraping pennies together. Trust, I am a penny scraper, putting it all together, but I save and I invest. I don't try to go the cheap route, because it has backfired on me so many times. The other thing is, make a checklist of your costumes and go through the entire checklist before you leave to do a gig, because the amount of times that I didn't have pasty tape or didn't have pasties go into a gig is just ridiculous. So that's what I would say is, and just be prepared, prepare yourself and invest in yourself, whether that's with costumes or makeup or, you know, lessons, like singing lessons, dance lessons, invest in yourself and practice.
That's good for life. Just invest in yourself.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, yeah, there are things you can cut corners on, but if it's going to be your career, if it's something that you want to do for the rest of your life, invest in it. Because if you invest in it, it's going to be there a lot longer for the long haul. And it's just a better quality of life for yourself and for your costumes. And oh my gosh, also wash your stuff. Wash it. Wash it. I cannot tell you how many showgirls have opened their bag and I'm like, honey, did you dig that out of the closet? What happened? So I don't know. Wash your stuff too.
Yeah. I second that. I used to perform in a troupe where they never wash their stuff. And so every time you got a costume, there was probably like 20 other women on it. It was awful. It was awful.
Glitter, self-tanning lotion, sweat.
And like perfume to cover it all up. That's the thing. Like So I have a question. Is working in the sexy industry, has it affected your vanilla everyday life at all? Do people in like your family or your relationships, has it been affected by working essentially as a sexy performer?
I was really afraid of that in the beginning with my family. But then my mom, God bless her, she was just like, I really support what you do. And just so you know, I used to be a Playboy bunny. And I was like, oh, what? Mom?
Yay.
I was like, great. She goes, no, we can't tell your grandma about this, but you know, we're real I love what you're doing. You look beautiful, honey. So like my mom has been very, very, very supportive. Cause like when I told her, I was like, so, you know, like old school Hollywood, like sexy Marilyn Monroe-ish, like she's like, I know what you're doing. You're doing burlesque and I like it. That's cool. I'm about it. And then she just went into the fact that she was a Playboy bunny at one point in her life. And I was like, huh. All right, the apple does not fall far from the tree. Got it.
Now you know where you got it from.
My aunt had a little bit of a problem with it because I sang my whole life. I sang and I was dancing. And I had that conversation with her where she's like, you know, you're really talented. And I love that you're singing, but, you know, you don't have to take your clothes off for people to, you know, like what you're doing. And I was like, wow. I totally understand that, but I like to take my clothes off. And she was like, okay. I was like, so I'll get you free tickets to the next show. And she did. She came to the show and she was like, it's very, very good. But, you know, if one day you decide you just want to sing, you know, I'll support that too. And I was like, thanks.
Thanks for the support.
It's very, like, bless your heart, Southern women, which is like, you're doing a great job. But if you decide that you want to, you know, follow the Lord, we're
here for you.
The Lord will be here for you.
The Lord will be here. Yeah. My relationships actually, I'm in a polyamorous relationship. So I've worked with both of them in my career. Ryan, my husband, has done a lot of hosting for our shows. Like back in the day, at the first Prohibition, he hosted quite a few shows for us. And Chris has, when we had a small stint over the summer where we reopened to do some shows, he did lighting and sound. So I've worked with both of them in my career, and it's been nothing but love and support from my relationship. So I'm very, very, very blessed.
I love it. So overall, what would you consider sexy? What is your thing that you think is sexy?
So I'm demisexual, so I'm attracted to just people's minds. And I know that sounds so cliche. I was like, of course, I want someone who takes care of themselves. And like I say, I'm going to invest in myself. I want you to invest in yourself. But mostly it's like someone's heart and mind is so sexy to me, and their creativity is very, very sexy to me, because like beauty fades, glitter will get swept under the rug. But, you know, I want that heart and mind and creativity and love of that soul forever. And I've been so attracted to so many people's souls. And if you went down the line or list of the people who have been big loves in my life, no one looks the same. It's not like, oh, she's got a type. It's that kind. It's just very much like, it's not even like I've dated a whole bunch of artists. Like I've dated very, very different kinds of people in very different atmospheres. But what they've all had is passion and big hearts, and just they tend to be on the creative side of things. Whether it's with politics, I dated a politician for a little bit. I dated a reporter. I dated a male cheerleader. I've dated a dancer. I've dated musicians. But it's like everyone's just been so into their craft, and like just I love that. I love when they're passionate about what they do, because I'm like, man, if they're gonna like put love and work into something like that, the love and work that they have to put into me, if it mirrors that, I am so blessed and so lucky. So that's what I find sexy, because I'm just like, yes, I'm a Leo. Love me. Love me.
Cat's a Leo too.
I am.
Well, your birthday must be coming up then.
It is.
When's your birthday?
August 11th.
Oh, nice.
Kat's our birthday girl. Her birthday's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
Yay! Happy Leo sister.
Thank you. Thank you. I love being a Leo. We're so much fun. We're the entertainers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. You guys don't have any negative traits at all.
No.
None whatsoever.
What are you talking about?
You cannot convince a Leo that they have negative traits.
In
Leo's mind, they have no negative traits.
I'm well aware. No, I love Leos. I love a nice shining star. You know what I mean? I like people who know their worth and step into it. It's great.
Yeah. Julius Caesar and us.
Yes, exactly. So you mentioned that you're kind of shifting things with COVID. What do you kind of see next for you going forward with your career?
I'm definitely going to start doing more videos. I'm in, like I said, investing in yourself. I'm investing in more sound equipment. I'm investing in better quality video equipment. I'm investing in backdrops. I am investing in space. So I'm looking to teach more classes, teach different kinds of classes, because I don't want to teach just burlesque, because there's so many different aspects of burlesque. Taking a beginner burlesque class can be kind of like, okay, cool, I'm taking another slow, sexy routine. And like, why not do different avenues of, like, why not do the art of the selfie? Okay, like, let's talk about how we need those angles. Let's talk about doing it in the mirror or doing it to your, like, with facing camera. Like, I'm talking like little things, just small things that you can do for yourself to build your brand and to build yourself while we are stuck within four walls. So I just really want to start doing things along those lines. I want to start investing in more fashion, talking about doing burlesque makeup, show makeup versus like daytime makeup, and what to use, what's different. Just throwing out a lot of different things that I've always thought about, or things that I use in my day-to-day that people will ask me about. And I'm like, oh, I thought everyone knew that. And it's like, it's funny because they don't. And you're like, oh, I've always done this. Or, talking about travel or how to travel, like making checklists, and just, it's crazy because there's a YouTube for everything, but it doesn't mean that it's the right YouTube video for you. And so if someone does want to get into the burlesque side of things and they want to know like how I travel or how I pack my bag or how I do my makeup or the stuff that I get, I want to throw that out there. I have the time. I have the energy. What else am I going to do? I can't go out and perform on a stage right now, but I can perform in my living room, and I can also give tips and help for us to prepare for when we can hit the stage again.
Great. And if people want to find you online, where can they do that?
My Instagram is at the Abby Cadabra. That is my most active account. I also have a Facebook, but I've kind of backed away from. I think Facebook has turned into a battleground of crazy. So I have moved. Sorry, I love everyone on Facebook. Just I'm scared of getting attacked. So then I've moved to Patreon as well. Patreon.com/the Abby Cadabra, and have a lot of very specific, fun behind the scenes clips and videos of performances that have not been released on YouTube or anywhere else. So it's just on Patreon. And those are like the main places that you can find me right now.
And how long have you had your Patreon? Is it something you've done for a while, or is it like with the COVID you've ended up graduating?
I had it. I've had it for like a year and a couple months. I started it because I had a lot of people talk about, like, there was that Instagram shutdown when they were like, don't post pasties, like you could get your account shut down or you can have this happen. And I was like, people were like, well, you have those pictures and they're pretty pictures. Don't you want to monetize it? Would you like, and I was like, that makes sense. Like, why not save those particular pictures and those videos in my blogs and stuff? Because I was going to start a blog, but you can do all of that on Patreon and like have it available to like super fans and people who want to support you. And I'm like, cool, well, let me save all of this for them. And then let me post selfies with my cat on my Instagram. And it made sense back then because I was afraid. Like, so many of my friends got their profiles taken down and I was like, it's not worth it, but I have these pictures and I want to use them. So I created a Patreon, and then it didn't like take off, but it did help me pay my phone bill for a while. And I was like, awesome, this is my phone bill money. And now it's the money that is coming in for me all the time. So I'm very, very grateful for it because I can now not just pay my phone bill, but pay part of my rent. And right now, without getting the stage, like it's really important, super, super helpful because I haven't, I haven't been able to jump back into the game. And every time we thought we were going to reopen, then they keep pushing it back. And you just never know with what's happening in the world. So I like to be able to still create and give content to people who really love and support what I do.
So are you doing photo shoots right now with COVID? Are you doing COVID photo shoots?
I have done one, and it was at the very, very beginning. And it was a photo shoot that got rescheduled. And then when we first reopened is when I did the photo shoot. And I think we were open for 3 weeks, and then they shut bars and clubs back down. And it was a learning curve at the beginning because we were like, don't go perform. And like, no, it's fine. You can perform and you can do photo shoots and you can get back together. I'm like, we're all learning. And so it was a scary thing. And like, the photographer wore a mask, and like the wardrobe people, they wore masks. And then I wore a mask until I had to put lipstick on, and then I did my photo shoot. And I've done just that one. And I'm, like I said, I've got my trusty iPhone and a good ring light, and I can do other things.
Yeah. It's very interesting because Julia and I started out of Los Angeles, so we have a lot of LA friends on our social media, and I all of the different photo shoots and how they're done, like the ones that you do through the sliding doors. They're doing a lot of those in LA, and I've seen some high fashion shoots where people have like it's pretty much what you were saying up until the point where you need to put on the lipstick, the masks are on, and then
exactly. I just realized I'm in a band. I'm in a band called the Quarantiners, and we actually did do a photo shoot together. We all quarantined together. Our band quarantined together, and we did a photo shoot, but it was a social distance photo shoot, and we were on a street, and the photographer was all the way down on the other end of the street, and like was using like a long lens to take all of the pictures. Like he was no closer than 20 feet to us ever the entire photo shoot.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. But so that was the other photo shoot I did.
So wait, you're in a band. Was it developed after the quarantine? Like it's just an online band that you guys all play. No, you quarantined together.
Yes, we quarantined together, and we're just like, this is funny. Like we're all performers and we're all stuck together. So want to make some music, and Wham had a full studio in his apartment house, and we were like, cool. Well, we have a studio, we have guitars, we have us.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. You and Taylor Swift.
Right? Taylor's dropping music.
I know.
Well, awesome. If you could just remind our audience one more time where they can find you on Instagram before we send you off.
Yes, Instagram is at the Abby Cadabra. That's TheAbbyCadabra. You can also find me on Patreon, patreon.com/the Abby Cadabra. And hey, my Venmo is at the Abby Cadabra too. Why not? It's my birthday month.
Yeah, just send her money. Why not? And I can't wait till the next time I come through Houston. I'm definitely going to look you up and see if I can catch you performing, because you sound like such a thrill to watch on stage.
Thank you. I'm excited for us to hit the stage again soon.
Yes.
Someday soon, when it's safe, we will all get back to it. And until then, we'll keep talking and doing online stuff and keeping it alive.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. There you are.
Okay.
Hey, oh my gosh, that was awesome. I am so glad we got to connect with her. I feel like I had a lot of things in common with her.
Yes, the Texas thing, the singer thing, the
music theater thing,
theater thing, lots of things.
The hosting thing, the burlesque thing, all the things. All the things. By the way, I really like your collar.
Thank you. I like yours.
Thank you. These are actually gifted to us by Liquid Nymph. They're one of her designs. If you're watching the live stream, if you're listening on the podcast, they're gorgeous collars. They're super interesting. Kat's has like a French maid feel to it.
There's also cuffs you can buy. I did not get the cuffs, but it's like a whole French maid, and I think that they can
all link together.
They all link together for lots of bondage. I was explaining it to my dad, which is always my dad, I swear to God, the things that come out of my mouth, he's like, okay, like that's interesting.
Well, it's super pretty. I love it.
It is. It's so much fun. And I put my pony on. I recently got a ponyo. If you don't know what that is, I fucking love them.
What is it? No, explain.
It's something I found on Instagram. I was advertised, but like I totally buy it, and it's like a hard. If I had another one, I'd show you. But it is like a hard, bendy product that you slide over your ponytail, and then you bend it into place, so you get a flat ponytail like this.
Okay.
And it doesn't damage in the way that a rubber band would. So
all right.
You end up getting more of the Madonna Immaculate Tour look. Which is
it's like super 90s high ponytail. I love it. But you're rocking it.
With this kind of collar, you need that.
Yeah.
Speaking of selfies, I find it very funny to try and take a selfie with a collar.
I tried. My hair kept getting in the way.
It's like all your angles are completely different. Because of it, like especially this one, because it's like a higher collar, there's no neck, so it's like I was definitely entertaining myself with that earlier.
Yeah, I think I have about 40 selfies on my phone, in all honesty. So maybe I'll post one online.
Yeah,
but yeah, so they're beautiful. They're from Liquid Nymph. We interviewed her a few weeks ago. If you guys want to check it out on the podcast, she does amazing couture kind of BDSM collars that apparently can like really withstand play. Like I'm pulling on mine right now, and it's not really going anywhere.
Oh yeah,
so
this one I feel like
you could really go to town.
I could go for a walk.
So that's the whole point, I guess.
I know, yeah. I mean, it's the first time I've worn a collar like this, but it's definitely a fun adventure. And thank you, Liquid Nymph.
Yes, thank you. We love them.
Yeah.
And are you doing anything else fun for your birthday?
Well, I was in California hold on one second, I'm gonna cough. I was in California up until last week, and we did a birthday party there. And then I'm in Florida with my dad, but because of the craziness of COVID, we're pretty much just celebrating in the house. So my dad and I are both foodies. My entire family's foodies, but especially my dad. So we are going to build a lot of things for my birthday. So we're going to make a chicken pot pie from scratch, where we make like the dough, and then I am making a brownie volcano, and it's like you bake brownies and then you build them into looking like a volcano, and then you have like red icing coming out of it, so it looks like so yeah, fun birthday adventures at home this year because of some really high COVID numbers in this state. So
yeah, I don't even know how I feel about it all. We had our first event for Pinups on Tour this year. Yeah, we finally yeah, it was great. Alpena, Michigan was gorgeous. We stayed at this lake called Hubbard Lake. It was beautiful, pure Michigan. Like really couldn't ask for anything more. The audience, we had them wear masks, we had hand sanitizers, we did temperatures, and honestly, everyone had a really good time. And the emails that I got afterwards were people just so grateful that we were doing the show, because they said it was the first time they weren't thinking about 2020 since all this stuff began. And it was nice, I mean, I think we still need to be cautious, obviously, but it was nice to be able to do that and to get a feel for a live audience again. I normally don't get nervous. I was a little bit nervous because it had been so long since I had an audience, and, and honestly, all of our performers were really great about it. And I will be fair, where we were going in Michigan had all of 12 cases of, it was not super high hit. And so my main thing, people kept being like, oh, take a picture, or, oh, you don't need to wear the mask. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm the one traveling. So I'm the one who should be wearing the mask, and it's kind of a reminder that areas of the country that aren't as affected are definitely more lax than areas of the country that have been highly affected, such as Florida. Well, I don't know how people are in Florida, but they should be strict in Florida because they have a lot of cases.
Where I am, and I'm not going out a lot, but I go to I was at the IKEA today, because we're redoing the kitchen table and repainting it, and I was getting new covers for it. And this is a great segue into our first article, because I had to wait in line because I got there at 10:30 and the IKEA opened at 11, and everybody was at their 6 foot socially distanced. But there was a dude in front of me, and he wasn't wearing the mask in line. And
did he have the mask?
He had the mask. And then the guy from IKEA walked by, and he's like, you have to put your mask on. And he's like, oh, I didn't know I needed to outside. And it's like every single other person there had a mask on. Of course he did. He's not a fucking idiot. He understood what everybody else is doing. But this article, which came out of Vice a couple of weeks ago. I think it was on the 20th of July. It's pretty much about the bro culture of not wearing masks.
It is interesting, and I will say that this article gives several theories as to why this might be, but I will notice out in public, the number of women I see walking around without masks or wearing them incorrectly is less than the men.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's not every single person, but, you know, this article, which is out of the UK version of Vice, because they talked about Boris Johnson, and they did a survey in May of 2,459 people, which I find funny that they didn't want to like round it up to 60. 2,460 people. I know. Exactly. So, and it was in regards to like men not wearing masks, and they said in the study that men perceived masks as shameful and not cool, which was my favorite one.
They're not cool, Kat. They're just not cool.
Right. Like, I'm just like, dude, come on. I will say I was in Tahoe a couple weeks ago with my sister, and on the way back, when I was in California, I'm like, I want to go to In-N-Out Burger once. So I went to In-N-Out Burger in Auburn, which Pinups on Tour has performed in.
Yes.
And I was like, I went inside because anyone who is on the west coast of the country knows that In-N-Out has an insane drive-through line. Before COVID.
Yeah.
So I went inside and I ordered my food and I was waiting there and everybody was being like perfect. And two dudes at two separate times came in without a mask. And I will say that In-N-Out, like they've trained their employees. They're very hyper strict there, where it's like they will not even talk to you if you don't have a mask. And both times they were like, I don't understand what the big deal is. And you're like, dude, everybody else is wearing a mask. You're not that special. Like
it's just really like, look, this is what we're doing now. Get over it.
Right.
But the article points out that men choosing not to wear masks in public is them signaling their dominance, being like, I don't have to do this because I'm man, I'm alpha, I'm,
right.
Like, what is that? Immortal to a certain extent. I'm not vulnerable,
Right.
It's them declaring that dominance, but that's nice. But, it also makes everyone else around you really, really fucking uncomfortable. So please put a mask on and wear it correctly.
We're all doing it. All of us now, because we have to. It's not like we're like, oh yeah, this is the cool thing. We're doing it. It's not a fad. It's there to protect the larger public, because the mask is never about you. It's about all the other people around you.
Yeah. And honestly, my whole thing is like effective, ineffective, whatever. I just want my life back. And if putting this mask on in any way allows me to get my life back, then I'm happy to wear it.
Right.
And the thing is, the longer these numbers climb, the harder it's going to be to reopen things, the harder it's going to be to do events, and the harder it's going to be to get my life back. So put the fucking mask on is pretty much, and wear it correctly. Your nose. Oh, I was on the airplane and the poor flight attendants kept having to tell people that they had to cover their nose, because that's like, I don't know if it's CDC or whoever makes those rules, but that's the rule. It has to be your mouth and your nose.
Right.
And you're like, it. They announced it when we got on the plane. They announced it before you got in line. They said it multiple times, and you still pull it down thinking like somehow.
They said it at the airport. Like, they didn't go through security that way because they knew they would get in trouble. That's,
Exactly.
None of it's a shocker at this point. We're not like in March of 2020. We are almost in August of 2020. We've all been dealing with this for a while. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not my favorite thing. We actually got really cute ones. Maybe we'll wear them next time we're on the podcast. We got really cute masks made for Pinups on Tour that are sequined with big red lips and a Marilyn Monroe rhinestone beauty mark.
Nice.
Yeah, so they're super fun. The guys, we gave them like little mustache masks, and because at the end of the day, if we're gonna wear them, they might as well be fun. And I'm not the mask police. My job is to keep me safe from you. I mean, I'm 33 with a relatively healthy immune system. I take vitamins and work out. I'm not the person that's super worried about it, beyond being a carrier and giving it to somebody who might live with somebody who's sensitive to it or whatever. So let's all just do our part. Wear the mask. That's our public service announcement of the day.
Exactly. I was talking to a friend of mine who her friend got married in Austria in April, and she showed me, she texted me the picture, and she had this gorgeous wedding dress, and then she had like this gorgeous beaded mask that went with, and it actually looked very sexy. Like the girl like played it up to do like sexy pictures with the mask.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it if you have to do it.
Right. I mean, and if you have to do it, you have to do it. That's just the way it is,
One of the all-time kind of iconic summer events that used to come around in LA, at least when I lived there, was Hugh Hefner with our Playboy's Midsummer Night's Dream Party.
Yes, I'm going to duck down because my notes.
How dare you, Kat?
I know, they fell, but they are here. Yes, and I will say reading this article definitely brought me back to living in LA, because I remember this party every year. I remember like every hot girl was maybe going to be one of the painted ladies. Like, like there was always this buzz around these parties, especially the big annual ones. And the Midsummer's, I think it's the Midsummer's Night Ball, but don't quote me on that. Which is just like their big pajama party, and also was on an episode of Entourage, which in the early 2000s pretty much solidified something as like the ultimate LA thing, so like it started in 77 and went pretty much until like, I think it ended pretty much when he passed away. Because the mansion, somebody bought the mansion and he was allowed to live in it till he passed away. And he passed away like a year or two later after that.
I was about to say, because they were going on right when I first moved to LA, but then they stopped shortly after that.
Yeah. So it started as a pajama party that they did on New Year's Eve in 1973, and then evolved into this like outdoor party in 77 where you were required to wear pajamas, because Hugh Hefner loved wearing pajamas. It was like one of his things. Like, he felt very comfortable in it. He pretty wore it nonstop. Like, most of the times he went out in public, he was wearing like a pajama set. And it was like one of those parties that like people always wanted to get a ticket to. And I never went to, I went to two events at the Playboy Mansion, but there was such a mystique around it, I think is the best way to explain it, where it's like, it was like one of those things where it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Who's going to be there? And I mean, I just went to an event where they rented it out. It wasn't like a crazy event, but like, it was the fun of the magic of like, this is an adult experience where anything can go. Not that I was at that event, but like it was, like one of the things I always said about it was like there were all these like things to be discovered, and which brought to this party at least a ton of celebrities. So like, they tick off the list, and the article is pretty much just pictures of people at different times at parties.
Mostly half naked or in some state of undress.
Yes, exactly. But like half naked in a state of undress for the girls, and then usually a ton of dudes. But like, I mean, like there was a picture with Halsey in it, and like Halsey hasn't been that popular. She's only been around for like 3 or 4 years. But like George Clooney, Steve Martin, the first one they had George Wallace, I believe, who was one of the big politicians of the time in 77. So it was a little bit of everything. Timothy Leary actually was at the first one. And he said that Hugh Hefner was one of the 4 great cultural influences of America.
Well, I think you can't really deny that Hugh Hefner and Playboy as a brand had a very... it left a mark on America. And I know there's some controversy now with his whole legacy, but I think at the end of the day, he gave people permission to dive into the sexual revolution in a way that hadn't been done before. So he might not have been a perfect human being, but he knew how to throw a kick-ass
party. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, some of it's the sign of the times, and some of it is like, you knew if you were walking into a party that you were going to expect something. It's, you know, and maybe it wasn't the safest space in terms of like sexual neutrality, but that's why you're going to Playboy Mansion, you know? So,
well, you know, I think that they live on as legends in our memory. And honestly, every old playmate I've ever met has been a blast. And I've met quite a few. So
right.
I like mid-century Playboy. I think there was something super, super special. And the Midsummer Night Dream Party kind of carries on that
Concept
spirit.
of it. Yeah.
Maybe somebody will bring it back someday. You know what I mean? It seems like such an iconic thing to just go away forever.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think that I think it's good to have celebratory events that are of more of an adult nature, because there's a lot of things out there that, I mean, not so much for us because, you know, we do this and our jobs are, but there are a lot of people that don't even see that concept. And one of the nice things about Playboy, as Playboy was mainstreaming, was it made sexual experiences okay, like going like the Abby Cadabra was saying, like, you know, her mom was you know, a bunny in a club, you know, or like not so much like, oh, this is a sex party, but like it's a couple steps more towards the vanilla, but enough that somebody would be like, oh, they had the party, here are the pictures, look at how pretty the girls are, look at how sexy the girls are, you know.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of, you know, 1960s and 70s sex symbols in general, which brings us to our final article of this week, which is also my car's namesake, Miss Brigitte Bardot.
Yes. So, you know, she was a French iconic sex symbol.
And just beautiful, blonde, beautiful, just stunning.
Her lips are just amazing. You know, she was very big in the 1950s and the 60s. And she kind of, like a lot of sex symbols, kind of tripped into her career, I would say. She was born in 1934. She lived in the 16th arrondissement of Paris. She lived in a seven-room apartment. So she grew up with
that's lovely.
In Paris.
That's lovely, yeah.
Right? But yeah, you know, she wanted to be a ballerina, and then she ended up with a modeling career that ended up into a music career that ended up in a movie career, and she did a total of 47 films and 60 songs. And then later in life, she became really into animal activism.
Yeah, that's actually kind of in LA. She's kind of a icon in the animal activist world for all of her work. People kind of view it as she kind of gave up her career to focus on this activism. Whether or not that's why she gave up her career, she might have just been sick of being a sex symbol,
right?
Because there's also only so long you can carry that on. But
unless you're Helen Mirren, because Helen Mirren is still sexy at like whatever age she is.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of women are still sexy at an older age. It's just whether or not the industry will allow them to play those roles anymore, which is kind of sad. But you know, that's a topic for another day, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But she was great. She did a lot of comedy. She did a lot of musicals. She was incredibly popular in France. And because of her sex appeal, she had great international appeal, went on tours, did visits with the troops, and overall was one of the biggest sex symbols of her day.
She was. When I was reading this article, I was reminded of like James Dean. To me, she was like the French female version of a James Dean, where there was this like rebellious nature underneath her, which you saw in a lot of her movies, that she was always like a sex kitten kind of.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And that's why I named my car after her.
Yes. Remind us about your car again. What kind of car is it?
My car is a 1978 Triumph Spitfire. So it's a sexy European bitch with curves, which is why I named it Brigitte Bardot.
Nice.
Well, I named it Bardot after Brigitte Bardot. And I actually just got custom plates that say Bardot.
I saw those custom plates.
I feel very good about it, about my decision.
Yeah. And it's been featured in some of your music videos too, has it not?
It has, yeah. We've used it for the Be My Baby, or what was it? Stupid Cupid. It was Stupid Cupid video with Pinups on Tour. You can see her little butt parked in the corner there. She'll probably make a lot more appearances in Pinups on Tour things because, it's a classic car that I get to use for free. So I will probably bring it out a bunch, but it's fun to drive, and it's been too hot here in Vegas though because it doesn't have air conditioning. So she's been sitting in the garage the last couple weeks. We're up to like 115 regularly here in Vegas right now.
It's like anything over 110 in Vegas, it's like your phone stops working outside.
I just kind of I go out and I get everything done by 10 a.m. so then I can just hibernate in the house for the rest of the day, which is my plan. And talk to you, glorious people.
Yes. I will say I'm very much in that boat in Florida right now this time of year. Whereas all activity usually is before 10 o'clock and after 4 or 5 because it's just too hot right now. So I just burrow. But because my dad has a pool here, which is very lovely because then I just swim laps at night. But I finally got my LED lights for the bottom of the pool, which I love. They're like the up lights. The last one I had floated on top of the pool. These actually sink to the bottom, and then you have 16 colors you can choose from. So they fade into different color systems. So
it's color therapy and swimming at the same time.
It is. I feel like I'm in Vegas in that moment. I'm like, this is great. The things you do to entertain yourself.
Hey, we're coming up with all kinds of things to entertain ourselves these days.
Absolutely.
I'm in the process of pimping out our 15-passenger van, so it's like a good touring van and camping van, and that's been kind of fun too because we've been putting in pull-out drawers and fold-down beds and.
Nice.
The amount of projects that I've accomplished since COVID is pretty astounding.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a new show coming out next week.
I did. COVID.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's getting pushed. It's gonna happen.
Okay, never mind. I'm not up to date on
pushed.
stuff.
I'll be able to announce it soon. Yeah, no, we'll be able to announce it soon, and it's a matter of our cases are rising here in Nevada, and it's our venue just was kind of worried about it, and I completely understand. It's one of those things where I'm letting every venue, every client make whatever decision makes them feel
comfortable,
the most comfortable right now. Because I said, I'm not a germologist. I don't know what's going on, but I'm here to entertain people if they want me in the safest way that we can do it. So, and until then, we'll keep doing this podcast and trying to figure out what's better than sex. Nothing. I think that's all I have for this week, Kat. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, and we will see you again on Sunday, I believe.
We have actually a couple weird days coming up, but great guests. Some of them are really good friends of ours, and I'm really excited to share what they do. Thank you guys so much for joining us and putting a spotlight on these amazing artists and professionals. If you want to find our videos online of burlesque and other sparkly things, you can do that at wttburlesque.com or find us on YouTube at WTT Facebook and Instagram at WTT If you listen to us on iTunes, please leave a review, hit the little 5-star button for us. It goes a long way towards getting us in the algorithm and getting their little bots to like us. So I think that's it for this week. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.